To Marketing as a Foreign Language. This the 281st episode. I don't believe in coincidences. I don't know if y'all believe in coincidences. Caroline, the incredible Caroline, Teacher of the Year, team member on Send It Rising, I do believe may have double booked guests today. And so two fine folks appeared in the backstage area. And I thought to myself, this is perfect. Why is it perfect? Because you got to roll with it. If you're an entrepreneur, you absolutely have to. And you got to be honest, which is why I'm telling you why the thumbnail is all about Buzinski. But we got someone else that we're going to introduce you today who knows all about Facebook ads, and you're going to love them because we love them. First up, we've got Michael Buzinski, second time on the show, CEO of Buzzworthy Integrated Marketing, lifelong entrepreneur, digital marketing thought leader. Don't you dare call him Mike. It's Michael, leader and author, dubbed a, quote, visionary marketer by the American Marketing Association. He gets great satisfaction from helping entrepreneurs avoid the time drain, etc. Welcome to the show, the one, the only Buzz Buzinski.
Hello.
Ladies and gentlemen, next up, appearing and disappearing from the screen itself, we've got Arman Ananian. He has had the chance to work with some of the biggest names in online marketing, such as Frank Kern and Grant Cardone. He built ads for more than 200 companies, acquired top-level know-how on online advertising programs. Coming to us from España, the one and only Arman Ananian.
Hey, what's going on?
Let's go. So, backstage, we're talking a little bit about what each of us do. We're employing different strategies, but we're basically three dudes with beards in marketing. So, let's start with the question, what's working for you to grow your agency in 2021? Buzz, we'll start with you.
Right now, I think the biggest one is the introduction of my new book, The Rule of 26.
Shameless plug.
There you go. Always marketing, right? So, but during COVID, I wrote this book to simplify the marketing strategies for service-based businesses, so that I can boil down what I do for them, and we can identify one of three objectives to start with that will move their revenue needle immediately. And if we get through all three, we will compound the effects to 100% or doubling of the revenue coming from their website. So that is working really well for me.
Good. So let's talk a little bit about books. Armand, before we leave you completely out of this conversation, have you written the book? Are you interested in writing a book?
No, absolutely. It's great. It's so interesting. Also during the pandemic, I wrote our ebook that we give out to people for free, which is called How to Get Exceptional Results in Online Advertising. And it's basically a guide diagnosing what's going on with your ads and how can you improve it. It gives you ideas on targeting, gives you ideas on the offer, on the creatives, and then some tips on the landing page. But probably Buzz's guide on that side is better. But it's almost like focused on ads. How can you diagnose them and make them better? And people can go get it at rfmedia.com/ebook, and it's for free. They can learn.
It's right there. They can download it into their cerebellum. So here's my problem with books. First of all, who reads anymore? Is there anyone out there that reads? I'm kidding, of course, because I read. But what I'm saying is lots of people are skimming, let's be honest. And everyone's selling their ebook, their free download. The information overload is so incredibly, saturatingly annoying that I think people are just throw their hands up. That being said, having written the book myself, sitting down with a client, handing them the physical copy of the book, signing the stupid thing, knowing that it's just going to collect dust somewhere, for what, but every now and then I would have someone come back and be like, I read your book and and I'm like, I didn't expect anyone to read it when I wrote it. I just didn't expect it. So based on your experiences, gentlemen, has anyone read your book? What do you hope to get from the book? Well, we'll start with Buzz again, then we'll go to Armand.
So people are actually reading my book. So I'm surprised. I did not write the book to get New York bestseller or anything like that. That's a quick way to go poor. But I'm finding that people are reading ebooks, and I am planning on doing an audiobook as well to go along with it. But yeah, I literally had an agency, a branding agency, pick up my book, and they're actually using it for their company because they're not digital marketers, they're branders. And so you'd be surprised at how many people do read, and it's a shook, so it's short. So I
But
took all the BS out of all the marketing books I've ever read. I took all the BS of people's like stories and anecdotal, nuances and all the other crap. I just said, nope, we're just going to be straight to the point. I even have my first chapter is who should read the book. So if you don't meet the criteria of who should read the book, you don't buy the book because the first chapter is free on Amazon. But I don't want to waste people's time because of that.
I love that kind of like not being afraid that everyone's not going to read your book and going right to your target audience. That's good. Armand, what about your ebook?
Yeah, for me, it's been very, very organic. We haven't been pushing it too much. We're focusing on, like, for example, appointment setting, stuff like that in terms of ads. So I don't have data, honestly, on reads. I could go back and like see, opt-ins, and I have some tracking links inside of the ebook. So, but that's definitely one interesting thing that I probably have to do.
Yeah. So my big thing with the book when I released it was I did the audiobook. There's something called ACX, I want to say, that you can go and you have to create a custom cover. It's square. It's different. You go through the whole like song and dance. And then they put it on places like Audible and whatever. When I made the terrible decision of doing the audiobook myself. So the first thing I realized is I'm trying to be someone I'm really not when I'm reading this book. Like there's so much ego to like sound like someone that, you know what I mean? And I was just like, oh God. So I had to deal with that whole thing. And then I'm not a sound engineer. Like getting into it, like the clicking and horrifying sounds that were coming out of my mouth that I had to go in. And then I start going down the rabbit hole and I realized this is just sound engineering 101 for people that really do this the right way. And then I finally released the stupid thing after I mean, countless hours of going over this thing with a fine tooth comb, and I doubled up a chapter. So there's like a chapter, you finish it, and it's just that chapter. And you should see the requirements ACX has to put an audiobook together. Like the floor of this certain decibel range can't be this, and it has to be this, and blah, 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 blah. And I put a tremendous amount of work into something that returned me almost nothing. So lessons learned. So if I were you, Buzz, I would just find someone, here's your 3,000 or whatever it is, and just get them to do it and just move on with your life. That's my 2 cents.
This is the funny part. I started the first rendition of my current company was an audio recording studio.
Okay, so you actually know things.
I actually have all of the things that make reading this book right here will be an afternoon. Okay. And then going back and taking out the ums, the uhs, and whatever pauses that I had, that kind of stuff. I've actually did a audio CD back in the day before they had the internet audiobooks of Jeff King. He at the time had won the most Iditarod race championships at the time, and he's well known in the dog sled racing arena up in Alaska and around the world. Actually, he's world renowned in those urns. So yeah, very, very familiar of what it takes to make an audiobook. It's not fun.
For those of you that aren't Buzz, it's really hard.
Please, if you don't know and you don't have the equipment, like having the right microphone. Like I wouldn't even use this microphone that I'm using right now. I have other microphones that I would use specifically for that presence, getting the bass from your diaphragm and all the other things that make a good voice on audio is definitely something that you should pay for. Don't try to do it yourself.
Yeah, you can, if you want to learn the lessons, go right ahead. But
your business is doing that bad that you have that much free time.
Dude, into the circle of hell you go. If you want it to sound halfway decent. But I need to, and we're going to get to Armand. We're going to talk about Facebook ads in a second here, but I do want to mention the diaphragm. Did you know that the diaphragm, upon inhalation, and we're getting an echo, I don't know if someone needs to put on headphones or not, but the diaphragm, when we inhale, it compresses. So it's the muscle that does that. And what it does is it forces the atmospheric pressure into the lungs. And thank you, Buzz, for getting these headphones on, because we're definitely getting a pretty gnarly echo coming through.
How about that?
Test 1, 2, 3.
Good.
Well, we'll see. Anyway, let's move on to Armand. Armand might be the culprit on the echo. I'm not sure where it's coming from. But
Yeah, that's
Armand,
totally
let's talk a little bit about Facebook ads. That's your specialty. Are you working with local service-based businesses? Give me an example of somebody to do Facebook ads for and how it's worked.
Yeah. So, for example, we have for example, real estate coach. She sells like coaching packages and also a master class, a webinar, stuff like that. We also generate B2B leads for a big company. What else? We have an e-com client, another lead generation, and then another lead generation, which is this one. Last one is funny. It's in the it's interesting, not funny. It's in we're helping a rehab center with leads of people that want to drop their addiction, basically.
Yeah, so let's talk about addiction and let's talk about Facebook ads. So Buzz, I have muted you. Just heads up, the echo is coming from your land somehow, some way. Give me the thumbs up and I'll unmute you. So Armand, my question for you is: so you've got people who are depressed, they are maybe suicidal. These people are not in a good way, right? If they're looking for addiction recovery of some way, shape, or form. A lot of the criticism that advertisers get is they harp on either sex or fear, right? So they're playing in those spaces a lot. How do you reach out to someone who is suffering from an addiction in a way where it's going to convert for the rehab center, but it's there's some soul to it? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a process we're constantly working on. It's not like we're perfect at it. These people at some point, it's very interesting. Like, we can get deep. I don't want to bore you guys, but people might have a small window of wanting to get help, and then they go back to their bad habits, right? So it's very tricky, to even if it's really someone that really needs help and whatever, then maybe they're not picking up the phone. They're maybe not replying back. So there's a lot of factors. What we're seeing that works is our best piece of creative, apart from the targeting, that is also working well. The creative that's working the best is actually a video clip. It's a video clip saying basically, hey, I feel you. I know what you're going through. We can help. Basically, that's what it says. That's our best piece of creative that we're getting, and probably if you talk to me in a month, we'll find something better or not, or this will be
It's fascinating to me. I mean, because Buzz, I want to get your thoughts on this too, but it feels like reaching out to someone in the throes of addiction. Yes, you want to empathize with them, but that's a pretty heavy burden, because that ad itself, that's no joke. I mean, you're reaching out to somebody, who really needs help. And if they see the ad, the other thing too is, like, can you imagine seeing addiction recovery ads and going, God, I'm an addict. I'm getting ads for addiction recovery. That's in and of itself has got to be gnarly. Like, why are they serving me these ads? How do they know? So I kind of want to talk about the demographic targeting too. Like, how are you targeting addicts? But we'll get that in a second. Buzz, your thoughts?
I think that you are dead on with video. I think if you approach it with an empathetic tone, and so it's less about being an addict and more about what it feels to be an addict, so that it's not necessarily just addicts that are going to tune into it. But then once you see the content, you're like, oh, okay, so this is for people who are in this situation because of drug addiction or alcohol addiction or whatever addiction they're dealing with. So I think you could definitely create nuance there and still do what you want to do and not drive people away from the acceptance, is what you're kind of Kellen, you're alluding to. So I definitely think that video is, like, and Facebook, like, one of the only ways to stick out.
Yeah, I could see it being a little bit of a tearjerker. My question for you, Armand, is there a button where you can pick the addict on Facebook? Like, marijuana enthusiast, opiate enthusiast, like no. What? How do you target? Is it like 25 to 35? I mean, talk to me about your demographic targeting.
Absolutely. And yeah, as Buzz says, no. Here's the thing. What we use is a combination of a couple of things. What we actually want is people who can pay for a treatment center, and we are, the company. Yeah, so what I mean by that is it's not cheap. It's not cheap. You guys know, and but they are developing. I'm excited because they're developing a more affordable stuff. Where they get consulting, and they people talk with them, they pay for their time, and they counsel them, right? But to answer your question, one of the key things is, hey, can they pay for this? Yes or no, right? And then we go into details. Do they have private insurance? Do they not? So a lot of the times is picking the people that have private insurance and then showing them the message that resonates with being an addict. So that's number one.
Are we assuming that these people are just addicts then? Like there's no targeting of like they like skateboarding. We are assuming that skateboarders are addicts. Or are there like what activities? You know what I mean? Like
I don't think you are. I think that he's doing demographics and psychographic and just basically picking an audience. And the thing is this: how many people do you know who are an addict and you're not? So, so you could be in front of people who are not themselves addicts, but then go, wow, that looks just like John. I should probably pass this on to John. So, being too targeted in what he's working on could actually work against you.
Right. I see what you're saying. I have this theory that Facebook targeting is just out of like a 1984 George Orwellian dystopian nightmare thing, and you can target whoever you want sort of thing. But I'm not the Facebook expert. So I'm asking Armand going like, how granular are we going?
Yeah, in reality, absolutely. In reality, it's all with your offer and copy, the way you're going to filter out. So your copy acts as a gatekeeper. A lot of times the targeting itself is not very, very, very precise or precise at all, but like with your copy and then we also have some qualifying questions on a Facebook form. Those two things get us better quality. So if you're an addict, I wouldn't say this, I'm just talking bad, but if you're an addict, watch this, right? So if you're not an addict, you're not interested, right? So kind of stuff like that is what we use in the copy to filter out.
Okay.
You could probably still do a like a geofence around certain neighborhoods and stuff like that. So you could not be in front of the people who can't afford it, right? Or might be not associated with people who are in that same demographic. So
we're doing that. We're doing
that. And then and then you got your salary range. I just find it fascinating that you do the geofence, you do the salary range, but there isn't you don't dive that much further into it than that. Can they afford it? We're assuming they or someone they know is an addict. And then the call to action, I think it sounds to me, correct me if I'm wrong, is just call us.
Yeah,
you have a form, right?
Yeah, they fill out a form. We ask, do you know someone in an active addiction? And then the second question was, would you like to hear about what we do, our services? And then immediately they go to a call now, button. So yeah.
I have a question for you. Have you thought of possibly doing it as if they say they don't have an addiction? Do you know somebody who does? And then like somehow have I don't know how that works exactly, but like a referral style type of thing.
That's actually very interesting. That's very interesting.
So then you could send them information that they could pass on to whom they know is an addict or needs help or intervention.
That's so powerful. Hey, Buzz, I have Kellen told me, you had some issues. He really cares about you. We want to help you out, right?
You could do it that way. I was thinking more like you would. I think you would more. Right. I was thinking more of giving that person the information to share with their relative or friend who needs help, right? So it's more them taking it to that, to that person who may or may not see your ad. And even if they do, they might not click on it because they're in denial still. but they're giving them information. Maybe they use that for an intervention. Maybe you give them information on how to do an intervention and seek help and accept and all that other stuff. Like so you're basically empowering them
that's
to
where
get to
an
that.
ebook starts making sense. Is here's an intervention ebook, right? On how you can intervene and help. Also, here's 4 YouTube videos that here's the most frequently asked questions that people who have an addict in their life struggle with. And then you send them to your YouTube channel, to your stuff, you know, so that they start seeing you as not just seeing you, but experiencing you as an expert in the field. So yeah, I like that sort of bifurcated. You bring them in right at the top. You say, I am either A, struggling with addiction, or B, I know someone who's struggling with addiction. And they go to 2 different landing pages. They have 2 very different experiences. And both are obviously trying to drive phone calls. You know, if you just want us to help you support someone through addiction, that should be something that this place helps with as well, either through giving out things like ebooks and videos or whatever. But no, I think that's a pretty good idea.
I worked with an intervention helpline back in the day, and that was one of the things. That was the core, was actually finding people that had families, so they were identifying the addict, because usually the addict's not going to self-diagnose, so it's usually trying to find the friends and family that are being affected by the addiction, and then having a program for them to bring that addict into the fold and get them the help they need. Right. So that might be even something that the organization you're working for could bring into their service offering. So like, hey, we have this service to where we'll help you get your loved one into good hands.
That's amazing. That's such a great idea. And to tell you some stats, because we have asked about this, because we want to know, it's 50-50. So 50% people come in saying, hey, I need help. 50% comes the family or the friend saying, hey, he needs help or she needs help, right?
That's a big chunk.
So yeah, pretty big chunk, you know, so we don't want to forget about this. And with what you said, I love it. Like, hey, here's a down for you, and, you know, down for you, that we're talking marketing. Down for you service.
It is. I've done with you always, right? Yeah. Or a do it yourself, or a done with you solutions to interventions. I mean, that the 50% of the people who need help will never get it before they die.
Yeah, and listen, you know, who are you going to choose if we help you make an intervention and they're ready to move forward and they want to, you know, they really want to do something, you know, they're going to choose you, right? So
exactly.
So that's a great idea. I'm making a note for sure. I'll keep you guys updated if I come again into the show, for sure.
Yeah, I would love to work with a drug rehab client. I think that'd be a really, really exciting client to have. From an interview perspective, like if I owned a drug rehab place, I would love to do a series similar to Soft White Underbelly. I don't know if you've ever seen their content on YouTube. Many millions of views. This dude, it's like interview number 1, pimp. Next interview, prostitute, 22 years. Next interview, heroin addict, 15 years on Skid Row. And to see the God in these people, to see the best that these people are as they are a prostitute, as they are a pimp, as they they literally are going into the bathroom to shoot up halfway through the interview to come back. And you're like, whoa, he's just done, you know? To give those people the time of day, 15 minutes, 30-minute interview. Tell me about your life. Let's go. That is so powerful. I have a theory that a lot of prisoners have some of the best opportunities to really live that monk life. Because if you've been in prison for 20 years and you spent like a year of that in solitary confinement, I've heard some stories, man, from spiritual leaders where they're like, these prisoners come out, they're 50, 60, they're like, their self-awareness is so intense. They know who they are because they sat in that room alone with no distractions for years. And it's so funny to me that we've got like monks or like Buddhist monks or whatever faith tradition it is doing very similar things to these people that we consider to be, you know, the least among us. And so are they doing anything like that? Any sort of interviews? Are they reaching out to these people, doing that sort of like shows and that sort of vibe?
They have a podcast. With some stories of addicts, but I think your angle of, you know, bringing all these people and showing your struggle in video, I think that's very powerful. So I'm gonna send them this interview. They'll take a look, and
Yeah, that's
hopefully
right.
we can-
Here's your free marketing consultation with three.
I'll send Armand my bill.
Yeah, that's great. That's
There you go.
$6,000. Okay, cool. All right, so that's
And I
Facebook.
want to add.
Yeah,
I
go
want to
ahead.
add one cool thing that it just like we have some clients that are like this, that you are actually covered. It's amazing. You feel great. Then there's others, just business, right? When it's just a different level of motivation as a marketing agency, marketing person, working with this type of people, because you know that you're changing lives. You're really tied to the outcome, because of what you're delivering, for the work, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Buzz, do you have employees? Did I ask you
Yeah.
this last time?
Yeah.
Armand, do you have employees?
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, Buzz, I want you to talk to me about that. So, yes, we've got these clients, we bring them in, but then we're putting food on people's their work. I mean, they're earning it, obviously, but talk to me about the satisfaction of being a business owner who is growing a company for people to work at.
So for the last 16 years, I have had employees. So it's a responsibility and a honor. That's how I look at it, right? So as a business owner, as a marketing business owner, I'm responsible for helping other entrepreneurs put food on their plate and their employees' plates. And then for me to grow, I'm responsible for putting more food on people who work for me, then put money in their pocket. So I would probably say it's the hardest part of owning a business is having employees. And, I had a multi-million-dollar digital agency, not a digital agency, a creative agency a few years ago. And before I reorganized it into what it is today, I had 25 employees in-house, and then we had subcontractors all around us and the whole 9 yards. And that was probably the hardest part of keeping everybody happy, was probably the hardest thing. So culture is like the core of that, right? And so once we got that core down, it was much easier to manage. But now that I'm in this virtual, I went 100% virtual. So all 13 of my team, coast to coast, 4 different time zones, we're all working together on projects, and it's a completely different culture. So, the question is, what do I feel about it? I feel accomplished that I can create a virtual culture that people that have nothing in common, don't live in even the same states, I've never even seen each other's faces, and somehow they're creating what we used to have to be face to face 40 hours a week to do, right? And that's just, I think that has something to say about my processes and the culture of what, the client first, and then so it's a client centric company with employee centric company with client centric employees, right? And so if I always do that egg, it always works.
Yeah, it's similar to what's happening in my world, fully virtual. I actually one time met Caroline. No, I'm not even Caroline. I've never met her. Shirley. I met Shirley once, and it was so weird. It was so weird.
How long did she work for you before you met her?
A couple years. Yeah, a couple years.
So that's weird, right?
Oh,
like,
it's so
what?
weird. It's like I've never seen that angle of your being, I felt so awkward, because there is something about the physical presence of an individual, and we just went out to eat, and even I've got a couple staff members here in Vegas, and I see them from time to time, and it's always just kind of there's just there's a weird energy to it, because you get so accustomed. That's the thing about the human animal is, man, we just will adapt to the craziest environments. We'll just adapt. Is what we do. Yeah. But Armand, I want to make sure that you have a chance to chime in here on the same topic. Then we're going to wrap the show up. So go ahead, Armand.
Absolutely. And, same, like, when I work with Grant Cardone and Frank Kearney, their advertising agency, I went to Miami for the first time. It was actually my first time in the US. And, seeing all these people, it's, again, what you said, weird, but at the same time, so interesting. And it's, although I love being able to work across the continent, when you talk, when you are present and talk with them, it's so powerful, But about employees, I think, I feel very grateful to have, currently 2 employees. And I think they're one of my biggest motivations, because I see in them, a lot of potential and a lot of, I really want them to win. And so in order for them to win, we got to win as a company. And it's just constant motivation for me to grow bigger, because I want them to get paid more. I want my team to get paid more, want to hire more people, help more people out, give more opportunities. So it's a very, very big, source of motivations for me.
Yeah, for sure. I want everyone on my morning call to hit 6 figures, and we're not there yet. So let's morning call 6 figures. That's sort of like the driving thing for me. I want us to be selfish capitalists here at the end of the show. Just do your 30-second elevator pitch on whatever it is you want to do. Buzz, go away.
Well, the listeners, if you're interested in the rule of 26, it's really easy to get a little more information on it and get it on Amazon. I have a link to the Amazon on the rule. It's actually rule of 26, the numbers 2 and 6.com. You can check it out there. And then obviously, if you're looking at what we're doing as far as our choose your own adventure digital marketing firm, go to buzzworthy.biz.
Thank you, sir. Armand, go ahead.
People can go to rfmedia.com/ebook, get their free ebook, and then they can book a consultation with us. That's pretty much it. Very helpful articles on our blog. They can check it on rfmedia.com. We'll take it from there.
People of the world, this is Marketing as a Foreign Language, episode 281. Y'all know the drill. YouTube.com/SendItRising for the live show, 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you're like most folks and you listen to us after the fact on iTunes and Spotify, we know that you love us and we love you back. We'll see y'all for the next episode. Bye, guys.
Bye.